and the rebels as enemies of those interests. Things have gone out of hand right now as we speak. To the point that there's a report where some people or some forces, let's say the Congolese forces, right, loyal to the government, have been accused of firing mortars, shooting straight into Rwanda as we speak. But things are escalating. So let me give you a piece of that. It's going to be a long watch, okay? Let's start with this. First, right? How did the people who were supposed to be more like scared, apprehensive of these rebels that were told, that the people were told were their enemies, how did they welcome them? Yeah.
Sana ni bamingi Rwanda bazuri barakimbika Rwanda bazana shwate senye Yesu ngabana nao batoto wa watu bashapigana vita banachoka. Yesu abayue kama bafanye nini tena. Zambi. Njo bale ase banaenda Rwanda, banaenda pigania Rwanda. Angwana bazo se décider bakota Rwanda.
Tout semblant. Voilà, c'est l'entrée triomphale des AFC M23 Majengo, tout près du marché appelé Marquis 30. Ils sont nombreux. C'est une foule immense, mon Dieu créateur. Fini pour la nation.
M23 naingia, M23 naingia, nchi watu wiko na celebrate. Watu ndio maana wiko na celebrate sana. Ndio maana watu wiko na celebrate sana. Choka kutembea. Walishachoka.
All of this in the last 24 hours. There is more. Before we get to the reactions of the world, right? There's even a video of a South African soldiers that were trapped because some of them were seen fleeing the city of Goma in the eastern part of Congo yesterday evening and even this morning. The moment the M23 rebels took over the city, they first took over the airport to prevent anybody from escaping. But some were seen escaping via road, others were escaping via water. Others who got trapped in the outskirts of the city, they had to raise a white flag for peace because it was at that point that it was like shoot anything that moves. The South African soldiers trapped. Look at them.
So, only one of the white flag.
So South Africans are really, really enraged, some of them. While some are asking, what are we doing in that place? Others are saying every South African soldier that dies in in Congo should be blamed on Kagame. Now, that is not all right? Let's go back to the city, how some of them reacted to the advancements and the arrival of the rebels. into the city today, as they are busy combing every corner of the city right now, looking for any leftover soldiers, government soldier, mercenaries, and what have you, as we speak. Because it is not like they have taken over the city and they've relaxed. No, their job is to take it over as they are, control it, and then advance to take another one to the next one. With what I heard, they are actually advancing to Kinshasa. And this is not really, this is kind of like a far from being over. So another allegation in the old space is that these rebels who finally took over this city, right? They were led by the Rwandan soldiers. It wasn't just the rebels, like they actually spotted Rwandan soldiers as part of the fighters, you know, in this whole thing, which Kagame's Foreign Affairs Office, they have denied. I have a copy of that letter anyway, but let's go back to the city, where you are going to see some soldiers escaping via this big, massive boat last night before the final arrival of the rebels, as they claim the M23, right? Now watch this.
Pano que só foi de cabelo. Sanje moja. Ujaona Unaona nini? Hawana masoda.
Hivi hapana basi.
Hapa naona vyema yake. Ndio wale mara. Hapa wale ni watu tu tuko na waona.
Right. Going forward, reactions have been pouring in from Africa, even from outside Africa, with all the interested parties in the whole conflict. The United States of America, France, United Kingdom, the Republic of Korea, and even the chairman of the East Africa what is that called? Let me see. I think it's called, give me a second, sorry. It is called the East African Community Head of States, led by William Ruto, the president of Kenya. In his own call is actually called for an emergency meeting of the East African Head of States in finding a solution to the crisis now, this emergency. Because the way they are looking at it is that there could actually be war between Rwanda and Congo in retaliation to what just happened. And here was Ruto this morning.
The escalating conflict and deteriorating situation in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo are a grave concern to the people and governments of East Africa. Noting the worsening humanitarian crisis exacerbated by ongoing military actions, including the closure of airspace in Goma, I call for the immediate and unconditional cessation of hostilities. I emphasize the obligation of all parties to facilitate humanitarian access to affected populations and urge both sides to pursue peaceful means to resolving this tragic conflict. These alarming developments, coupled with rising diplomatic tensions in the region, underscore the urgent need for peaceful resolution to a conflict that continues to inflict untold suffering on the people, particularly women and children. As the current chair of the East African Community, Kenya is aware of the region's critical responsibility in de-escalating violence and facilitating dialogue between the parties involved. We confirm and firmly believe that a sustainable solution can only be achieved through engagement, constructive dialogue, and a renewed commitment to peace. I call on the parties to the Luanda process on Eastern DRC and appeal specifically to my brothers, President Felix Tshisekedi and President Paul Kagame, both of whom I have had the occasion to speak to this evening, to heed the call for peace from the people of our region and the international community. I call on them to dedicate all efforts towards achieving peace in Eastern DRC and restoring good neighborliness, an essential principle underpinning regional peace and collective responsibility. Consequently, and having consulted with the heads of state of our region, we will be convening an extraordinary East African Community Summit within the next 48 hours to facilitate and to deliberate on this crisis and chart a way forward. This is in line with the East African Community Summit's decision of November 2024, which called for constructive engagement to address this conflict. I thank both President Tshisekedi and President Kagame for their confirmed participation in this summit. Additionally, the African Union must not remain passive in the face of this escalating crisis. The East African Community stands ready to forge a stronger collaboration with the African Union and SADC, as well as the international community in encouraging the warring parties to prioritize engagement.
How are the other world leaders reacting? First, France, their own reaction.
Good morning. Faced with the rapid deterioration of the situation in the Democratic Republic of Congo, France called on Wednesday for an emergency meeting of the Security Council. The last developments in North Kivu, the advance of M23 troops, and imminent threats against Goma are extremely concerning. France reaffirms its unwavering support to the sovereignty and territorial integrity of DRC. We strongly condemn the ongoing offensive led by the M23 with the active support of Rwanda. This offensive is causing major risks for civilians and must be stopped immediately. The M23 must free the territory that it has captured. Support to armed groups by all parties must stop. We urge an immediate return to ceasefire. The dialogue initiated through the Luanda and Nairobi processes with the full support of France must restart without delay. Last, I want to highlight the importance of MONUSCO, whose mandate has been unanimously renewed last month and which is a crucial actor on the ground to protect civilians. I also would like to express my condolences to the families of the peacekeepers who have lost their lives in the fighting of the last few days. Good morning.
They are all asking for a ceasefire. They are also asking the M23 to hand back the region that they have now captured and seize the advancement of, the fight. They are talking about caring for the civilians, women and children, and, to approach a negotiation, kind of. I don't see that happening. I don't, because until this gain of the M23, they have been on the receiving end for years now. And you didn't hear about that. Yeah, you've been hearing about the clashes, fights in Congo, right? Until all their peacekeepers, the government forces, until they started fleeing, which now gave the M23 an advantage over the combination of the United Nations, these UN forces, peacekeepers, South African forces, the government forces, and some other mercenaries they put in that place. Now, it means that all of those forces have been defeated, finally. So, which makes it more like the M23 is now in the